What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Other Side of the Firewall podcast, where we talk about the latest and greatest of cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon Tynes.
What's up? What's up?
We have a special co-host this week, so introducing a professional speaker and the CEO of Blurred's Leading Technology, Chelsea Pierre.
Hello.
What's going on? So it's just fitting. This is season 2, episode 1 of the podcast. We have migrated. We're now being hosted by Heroes Media Group. So today's the first episode, and it's only fitting to have Chelsea on. She was the very first interview way back in the 2020 days of the podcast. So
long time.
Thank you for thank you for being back on the show. I greatly appreciate it. And we're definitely going to catch up on you and all the good stuff that's going on with Blurred's Leading Technology. So for those tuning in, please make sure you listen to Friday's episode where we kind of expound on that and catch up with Chelsea. But without further ado, I give it to Shannon.
All right, everybody. So this first article we got, right? It's actually from MSN.com by way of the Dallas Morning News. It's titled, "As Dallas Ransomware Attack Stretches into Day 3, Other Texas Cities Boost Cybersecurity." And this is written by Kelly Smith, Zaim Shaikh of the Dallas Morning News, right? So we've talked about this before, right? So it's one of those things where whenever these different things happen, whether it be, a water treatment plant, or was it Colonial Pipeline? What was the
Colonial Pipeline? Yeah,
Colonial Pipeline. Like, we figured people would learn from that, and it just hasn't seemed to caught on like it needed to, right? But this ransomware group called Royal caused outages for Dallas's emergency systems, right? So 911, 301. They're using backup plans down there in Dallas to kind of handle all those things. This isn't the first time we've seen it to where you've had attacks on emergency services, right? So this seems to be a popular target now because people want to pay, right? So they want to get their stuff back up and running. And even in this article, like, they talk about how, they're considering whether or not they want to pay. But I think they should treat it like Martin, right? Like, I ain't paying the $5. You know what I'm saying? Like, Martin ain't about to pay that $5 for that extra rent. You know what I mean? So granted, it's more than $5 when it happens here, but this is just one of those things where I don't want to say it's good to see, but it happening close to home made these other people think, okay, well, we need to do a little bit better, right? So they have a quote in here: "Cybersecurity is a 24/7, 365 effort that includes adjusting from what we learn from other situations like this one, right, to further our own protection," right? And this is from Sam Bradford, who's the director of information technology in Mesquite, Texas. So they say that this gang, Royal, is a sophisticated gang, gains access through networks by phishing 2/3 of the time, right? And we all know how phishing, like, as long as it's been going on, it's still one of the more popular ways things happen here. You know what I'm saying? But Chelsea, what's your thoughts on this? What you think about this?
You made a point. This, we thought would have learned when this happened in Atlanta, right? And that was years ago. I mean, years ago. And not saying that put out the buzz, like, oh, these cities are paying, okay. Not saying that, but you thought when the ransomware happened, and Atlanta has all of those prestigious schools and IT programs, a lot of these cohort programs and meetup groups, and just tech infrastructure city, right? Like, Atlanta is where you go. That's where the money is. It's where new development is always moving. And you would have thought, I thought, at least, and that was years ago. Like I said, that was years ago before I became who I am now. That when they said, and it was the same time, I forgot how long it was. I don't even know if it made it a week, but it was a couple of days. But when they say, we're going to consider it, that should have been like a buzz, a sound, like, oh my God, not Atlanta, right? Not Atlanta. Like, Atlanta in the South. It's like Silicon Valley, that's in Cali, right? Like, not Atlanta, right? And so Over time, technology has gotten wiser, and ransomware is tricky, right? Ransomware is tricky. I remember working at Geek Squad years ago, and this was like when Apple was like little A Apple, right? With the iPhones, and so when it first came out, so people were bringing in their laptops, and us at Geek Squad, I remember ransomware was a thing, and it would show the different graphics, and I'll tell you what graphics, but different graphics on the laptops. And then we was trying to understand that then. And back then, I'm giving you time frame like 2012, 2013 time frame when I was doing that, right? And so we're still trying to figure out, but you know, it's every city's different. I'm not going to fault the city, the technicians. Every city is different. Every city has a different level of expertise. It is just interesting that is the clutch hold. That is the virus, virus, right? That keeps on entrapping us. And so I read the article, I just find the article interesting. I just find these major cities interesting. And I just, that is one of the many tools that they continue to use. And it's just fascinating. I'm just looking at it and like, okay, we're back here again. Well, let's see how Dallas decides to answer this, to respond to this, because what is it, day 2 now, day 3? Like, okay, I'm seeing a common theme. And ransomware is not, again, it's not easy. It's not easy, especially if it's an insider threat, right? But it's interesting to see what are they gonna do, right? Because it keeps happening. Keeps happening.
So the thing is, before you pass it over to Ryan, like I think they are going after these major cities because there is more of an urgency to it, right? Because when you go after your Atlantas, your Dallases, you go after a Houston and LA, New York even, right? We've had it with emergency services being attacked in New York not too long ago. Like the urgency is more because you have so many more people that's affecting that. What they're hoping is that the people that are being affected by it are going to be like, hey, you guys need to do something about this. I don't care what you do, just get my services back up. You know what I mean? That's kind of what I think that's what they're gunning for. And it's kind of, I hate to give them credit for this, right? I hate to give a criminal credit, but it works in their favor. You know what I mean?
It does. It works. It has to. There's always going to be urgency, but there's always loss of profit with these companies. When you create these companies, we have technology, right? You have to, when you do these plans and continuity plans, you have a section for loss and profit. You have a section that is supposed to indicate, hey, if somebody pulls up to even the guy there, somebody pulls up to the store with a gun in my face, what will be the loss? How do we eliminate it? Like, what do we do? And it's the same thing with all technology. So that is true. But that should be in a continuity plan, right? It should cover that. Not that you want to, but it should cover, hey, if we are under attack, if services stops, right? If it stops for some reason, what do we do to make sure that life continues flowing? What loss are we willing to decide to afford, and where to go from there? And so now your services are stopped, and it's now the time to whip out that book, that plan that a lot of people have to sit down and write and say, okay, here's the risk plan, here's the risk, is it action? What do we say we was going to do when this happens? And people sleep on these plans. It's full of dust, but it's supposed to be live, right? It's supposed to be, so I get it, but it's like, well, you have these risk plans.
That's true. And then the business impact assessment, all that stuff should hopefully have played into this. What's crazy though is I think we're going into uncharted territory, right? Like, so this is on the back of them already getting $170,000 when they attacked the appraisal district in the same city, right? So they're coming back for more money. They're like, okay, you paid us once, you'll pay us again. That was already a mistake. But what I don't think they, what Royal, so to speak, the company ransomware gang, whatever you want to call them, is not thinking is the impact and loss of life and how that will affect them and their members, right? So not to make this a sad episode, but I saw an article when I was going back to refresh my memory. There was a mass shooting. There's an article written about 3 hours ago. There's a mass shooting north of Dallas, in Allen, is the name of the township or the city or what have you, and there's loss of life there, right? So I don't believe, I'm not trying to conflate the two. I don't believe this has any impact on emergency services in that area because it's so far out of Dallas. But at the same time, it should be, not only is the rest of Texas on high alert to try to make sure they're not going to be impacted by the ransomware and the current virus, but now you're adding emergency services have to be active and ready to go in case there's another shooting or in case something else happens, right? What if this had happened in Dallas, right? It would have impacted services. It would have slowed everybody down, and would the members of Royal, when they are caught or what have you, have more charges put against them, right? Because now they've impacted emergency services. Maybe somebody bleeds out because first responders can't respond because of the slow to action, because the E911 is down, 311, all that good stuff is down. I don't think they're thinking about that. Obviously, they're just like, okay, we're going to impact the system. We're going to make some money. We're going to get out of there. What happens when your impacts start to have kinetic effects? People die because of what you've done, right? You've attacked a hospital, or in this case, you've hampered emergency services. I don't think they've thought about that, and I don't think the rule book has been written for that yet. So in this case, it could have been, unfortunately for the term, it could have been the perfect storm had this happened in Dallas and it had impacted them. Like, would people be going to jail for the rest of their lives because of it, right? Would people have died because of it? Is my question.
So I think you're on brand, but with what you're saying though, like, even though it did not happen in Dallas, what happened? So like the place that it happened, some type of suburb or whatever, it was like nine people were dead, right? Or affected.
Yeah, I think that's the current,
yeah,
it's like nine people died because of this thing that just occurred, right?
Right.
So that's why I didn't add it as an article. I just saw it, unfortunately.
But even with that, if for whatever reason that law enforcement in that township, city, whatever, what if they needed help from Dallas, right? Like they still have issues. They still have issues contacting them, right? It's not that, it doesn't necessarily need to happen in that area. For whatever reason, they are called for their services, right? Because Dallas is a big city, right? They've dealt with things like this. They've dealt with all the major things you may not see in this place that had this instance at the outlet mall, I believe is what it was. Right. So it still affects them, even though they're not directly involved and it's not directly in their territory or their area of responsibility.
Yeah, so I think that it obviously is still the Wild Wild West, right? We're trying to get things under control. We're trying to get better at what we're doing, and Dallas is a little bit too big to be impacted this way, in my opinion, as well, right? They're in Atlanta. They're I forget what the town was called in New York, was a little bit smaller. They were also impacted, and we talked about them a couple months ago. We have to do something. We have to get better, because now they've seen not only like, don't pay the ransom because they will come back. Like, it's like feeding a stray cat, right? But also, like, what has this attack done to your ability to mobilize services? Like, what if there's a copycat or something like that in the area? Because America is wild right now, right? So you can't have your services hampered in that way. So I don't know. More to come. It's still unfolding. Like, it's. I think this is day 4 of the incident. They're still not right. They're still not where they need to be. So when we come back next week, hopefully we'll have figured it out, and most likely they will attribute it to a phishing attack, because that's the MO of the gang, right? So that's how they usually get in there. So what kind of training are you providing your employees to stop this from happening in the future? So I think that'll come to bear as well. But thank you for tuning in. I forgot to do the call to action. Please forgive me. It's the first episode. All right. I'm new here, but definitely continue to tune in to the podcast. Hit us up at all of our social medias. Hit up Chelsea at all her social medias, which will be tagged in this episode and all the following episodes. Definitely continue to tune in through the week, so as we catch up with Chelsea, and then listen to our topics and what have you. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, and stay posted for the future. And then obviously prayers and all those good things for the people being impacted in Allen, Texas by what's currently happening. Again, it's still unfolding, so I don't have a lot of details on it, but we'll continue to give you information as it comes across. So stay safe, stay secure.